The other day, I was talking about the implant on the video, and the point of it is that at early age, when we get the influence, you are in certain circumstance, parents, friends, and whatever you do, or aunts, uncles, you may have developed certain tendency because you saw them, they want to do certain things in their way and being happy. Each person's orientation may be different because of those implants happening generation to generation. So I was talking about my case related to my father, mother, the difference, and how I picked up my direction, even life's mission, connected to the root, so to speak. Not the very, very deep root, so you can change it, but still the implant theoretically means you cannot change it. It's like the example of a duck flying when they come out of the egg. They see the moving object and they think that's their parents, so they go with that. So humans have tendency, and I thought why that could be the case, because whoever they saw, or the human's case, we think those are the great references to follow. Because why? Because the person who was living with that tendency is having a fun time. So my father's orientation external and my mother's orientation more into internal. I have those two characters in my view. So what's the implication of that? Let me think about this way. I was thinking of Konosuke Matsushita, and he came from the house, but he couldn't go to elementary school, or before high school he had to be in apprenticeship away from parents. And he learned from the ground level up what to do. Being in this family, running the business, and he learned how to do the cleanup of the floor, dispatched to do picking up something, buying a tobacco. I remember that story. And as he was learning that at the ground level, just doing whatever he was asked to do, for some reason he had this idea, like when he went to buy tobacco, he realized that if you buy 5 of them, you get 20% less. I don't know what the exact figure is, but those are the ground level learning he picked up, and that made him to be great in managing companies, finding the strategy, incorporating people, because he's got that ground level experience as well as climbing up the ladder, his own company, and learning to get to where he was known to be the god of management in Japan, to create that Panasonic, great company, and it has still a huge influence in Japanese culture, the values. So I remember visiting the economy and politics Matsushita Politic Economic School of Matsushita, whatever. That is to promote or create or educate those who would be involved in the leadership role in the Japanese government. So what they do, They do the housekeeping, cleaning up the toilet and all that stuff too. Pointing that it's important to not just look at the vision, the way that you want to manage, but you also want to know what's going on at the ground level. So Matsushita's background created his company, and even to this level. So I think the current Prime Minister went through that school where 30-some people every year can be accepted. They don't have to pay anything because of the Matsushita Foundation money. So they spent, I think, 3 years or so to go through the process, having all sorts of interesting subjects to go through. And one story I've just sidetracked, interesting, is when he was asked by the people who were selecting to be the principal of that organization, they had like 4 or 5 great candidates, but they couldn't figure out, so they went to Matsushita what to do. And he said, okay, they have a good credential, just pick the one who's got the character, Aikyo, relating to people well. So that was his one word or the sentence. So he's got that intuitive sense of finding someone who can lead, develop from wherever they came from, perhaps some implant. They have the tendency of doing something right instead of doing something wrong for the society. So that thought popped up, and then the other thought that was interesting is that, like in my case, I have some character, the personality and the orientation related to the implanting process that I figure. And many go through the same. So I thought about those who are good at the surfing or painting or Picasso or management, Matsushita, or investment, Warren Buffett, or Elon Musk in his, engineering skill, scientific skill. People get those skills from early on. And when they are growing up, they like it so much, so they keep doing it. So to excel, to achieve what they really like. And that's what I said to my son when he was 16 or 17. He was so, interesting to explore and don't want to listen to parents. Maybe it's kind of like me, to explore the world. So the word that I gave to him, the sentence I gave to him at his age 16 or 17 is, do whatever you really like, and if that helps the society, that's the way to go. He's now 36 or so, starting up business in high-tech field, working very hard. And before that, he had some difficulties to not knowing what to do. But that initiative, whatever the way he got implanted, his mother, my ex-wife, had very sharp mind, more detail. My case is a little different. Exploration and like a Zen, curiosity. So my son once told me and for others that mother set the rule and I violate the rule. So the mother set the rule because she's so disciplined, thinking this and that, and I am the one who explore. So that was the balance. And that marriage lasted 25 years or so. In a way, reflecting that, I feel like I married her. This is a second marriage after the Japanese, which is totally different orientation. So I tried the other direction with American, who's got more, not just following the father or the husband way, but has her own opinion. So I like that. So she was delegated to do the basic stuff that I can keep on exploring things. After 25 years, we got divorced, but those 25 was very interesting years to aim for my mission to be accomplished, and she was helping and taking care of all the rest of it. So I could focus on what I really like. So back to the story. Divorce, we don't have to talk much about it, but the divorce, just to touch on it, is that I still have that deep sense. This is a point of my mother's end, perhaps internal and the spiritual part of interest that I have. So that and my inclination with nature was so different from her inclination with the society and some fame and money. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but anyway, different direction from mine. And she's got that implant character probably. So we matched for 25 or so years, and it was good. And my son learned from both ends of it, so he may be going through the similar. Anyway, everybody go through their own way to figure out what they want to do. And the implant thing can influence a lot. That's the point. And the point that I was talking about, the surfers or investors or managers to be excellent had such implanting experience early on so that they can go forward with that. So what's the story of this? I want to get out with that as a background, is that if that's the case, there's a profile of, say, human society. Some excel in certain area, the other excel in certain area, and other people may have a mixture of those tendencies. So there's a normal distribution of any direction we want to go, surfing, management, painting, investment, whatever. If you choose that one, there's a normal distribution of those who want to go in that direction. And those top 3 sigma, whatever the percentage, 1% or less, may be seen as masters. So if you look at the whole human society and the distribution of the tendency of this normal distribution depending upon various subject areas, as a whole, you can look at the human society as a base to come up with certain normal distribution of which way this human species are moving. And within each human species, there's a mini human species, like a mini company, mini. But at the end, we have that human species. But all human species and even all living beings come from the same root. And the idea there is to live the best, go over the law of entropy. So if you look at that way, that human society distribution has all the mini subject, excellent ideas, and so forth. So there's those 0.3%, whatever, 3 sigma, excellent people, but majority of the people is like a normal distribution, You can call most of it are like average. Not to say that's bad, because the average and the center part of the distribution of people are the ones who may choose whichever direction to go. But instead of like a silo, stuck in one direction, they move around. So cross-fertilization, moving around different areas, being able to see things and make a decision, that's a special skill too. And if we don't have that, and if everybody is like extreme case, the managing part of it, of creating some harmony within, is not going to be done easily. So the center part of, I don't know what the percentage, center part of distribution, 75%, whatever, is important to be able to connect to different areas, like management or finance or art or sports. So they move around, but still have some sort of a sense of connection. And that skill, especially related to Indra's net, customer-supplier relationship, and how everything is connected to each other. That connection is very important. If that connection is not there, two silos spreading and nothing in between, very unstable. And we need to kind of bridge the gap, because ultimately they have their customer-supplier relationship. So that's the way I see what this human species going forward with AI and lots of tools. But the synthesizing of all has to be there. And that's the role. And to be able to synthesize, you need to have background to be able to do that. Not just focus on one subject, but be able to balance out, like finding the middle way. So that's the center core of the organization, to balance out to the exploration of every rich direction and synthesizing and balance out and make a decision. How they make a decision is critical. It needs to be looking at the situation so there won't be a bottleneck developed in any connection. Because if it's Indra's net, if certain connection is missing, that needs to be addressed. And that's what I think is critical. And that's the reason why artificial super heart may be able to process that instead of extreme power skill obtained by few people and jump around in their area of mastery. But if it's done too much without the balancing act, but with the bottleneck or blockage and different opinion that we cannot synthesize, that's create a big problem. So that's what I see. This idea, one is called artificial super intelligence. Every which direction the idea can go. But the root, artificial super heart, that root cannot be lost. If it's lost, all the battles and isolated silo syndrome keep on moving, and as a whole, the balance may be lost. Balance can be lost, and that's when the species may be eliminated, and that's natural event. So it may happen within the human species. But with the idea of may all beings be happy, we may have this core process as a part of the implanting. We have that as living being, not to be lost. So what I'm saying is that sort of validating when we talk about ASH, artificial super heart. That's the mission. And that's what I like to promote, so that we don't get lost in the extreme and lose the root of where we came from, to make a good decision and prevent the bottleneck to be developed in the Indra's net. So let's work on it. Be sensitive, make a good decision to contribute, not just individually, but also for the whole. If not, sub-whole or small mini universe from that mini society, but to extend and have hands to connect to each other. Thank you.